than usual. I'm going to try to share with you guys a little bit about TrendSpider. We got a webinar coming up with them. It was supposed to be this week, but we moved our TrendSpider webinar to the 27th, so actually next Thursday. So a couple days after Christmas, hopefully people will have some time to hop on that and see the new updates and new features. The guy that was going to do it with me just lost his voice, so that never works. Didn't want to force him to do a webinar with no voice, so we kicked it out till after the holidays. There might be more people around after Christmas anyways. It's kind of that crazy time of year. But hey, Don. 27th. So if you're in our Facebook group, you'll have access to it. But we're also going to send an email out. We got a TrendSpider webinar coming out, so it'll be online. We'll probably post it on Zoom. We'll do Zoom this time instead of join.me. Hey, Big Bear. And you know, so basically, if you guys hear me saying TrendSpider, you're like, what the heck's TrendSpider? This is TrendSpider. So this is the big thing that we want to show you guys, especially for you newbies who are trying to master trend lines. It's really hard, right? You're like, all right, I've drawn so many different patterns and trend lines and indicators. I don't have a lot on this particular chart. I have a couple moving averages. Let's see, simple. And you can see I'm using multi-time frame analysis. So I've got the 5-minute and the daily. So I can pick whatever 2 time frames I want to organize and compare against. And your secondary time is going to have these dotted lines. So these are all daily trend lines. And then the 5 minutes are going to be these solid trend lines. And you can just really see, like, you guys know this is a falling wedge. You guys can see we bounced off this daily support. And you can see that we are starting to pop off. This right here is I believe this is the lower Bollinger Band, because I'm using Bollinger Bands. And you can see right here, I'm using a daily Bollinger Band on the SPY. And we are bouncing off the lower daily Bollinger Band. So that's interesting to see 5-minute price action bounce off the daily Bollinger Band. So multi-time frame analysis is really a great way to trade, because you've got all the information on one chart, which is going to help you make better scalps. A lot of us in the trade room are day traders right now that I'm speaking to, but this is really for everybody. This is for people who like to swing trade. This is for people who like to long-term invest. This is a great tool for all of those intensive purposes. So I wanted to show you guys a quick SPY chart. You know, this is some resistance that we'd be watching for up here. This is, again, most relevant. If I click this button right here, which it's going to be a little bit slow today because I changed my network around, and I'm actually trying to get some new cabling into my office so that I'm not on Wi-Fi. So this might lag a little bit, but if I were to click more lines, I'd end up with a heck of a lot more lines. I'll show you guys real quick. Oh, it didn't lag at all. There we go. So now we have, you know, an interesting trend line here that TrendSpider hasn't rated or weighed as a most significant trend line, but I want to know where it is, so I'm going to right click and lock it. Then I'm going to go back to most relevant, and now I'm going to be watching this trend line on SPY today and see if this potentially reacts here. If it does, and it gets, you know, it might, depending on the candlestick pattern and what it does on this moving average. You can see right here, this is the 9 EMA on the 5-minute. And there's also the, I'm going to take the daily off. I really just want to see the 9 EMA on the 5 down here. Or is that? Hang on a sec. That's the 5th. No, that's the 20. Where's my 9? I think this might be the, nope, that's the lower Bollinger Band. Let me make this a different color so I can really see it. So if you go up here to indicators, 9 EMA, I'm going to make this thicker. There you go. That's why I can't see it. It's just too dang light. And I'm using the beta version. I'm actually going to make this like green today. Normally I have mine blue. So you can see price action. You got the 9. This is the 20 EMA. And you can set alerts at moving averages. You can set alerts at Bollinger Bands, daily trend lines, 5-minute trend lines. It's all right there for you. So that's kind of an overview of TrendSpider. I'm going to use this today a little bit. I might actually use it for some of the small caps, depending on how it behaves. But like AETI is the volume leader today. It's been bearish since it made some pre-market highs. And if you guys look, another important thing that we're doing for our members right now is we are sharing a open trial of BlackBox stocks, where if you guys are in our Facebook group or part of our community, you can go and click on the events tab on our fan page, or in our Facebook group is also an announcement. You can see that AETI very early put out a alert at 126, and it's actually got, you can see they got the tick arrows right here, but this alerted very early at 126. It's still kind of hovering right there, and it's possible, looking at this triangle, and I'm going to use Thinkorswim to draw my trend lines and kind of show you these levels today. I've got all my Fibonacci levels on here. These are custom Fibonacci's that I've set up, and you can see a bullish triangle, and we're breaking out of it. So volume's coming in here. It's not a lot yet. I'm using a 5-minute chart. Typically I like to see 50,000 share candles. This is only 20,000 share candle, but we're breaking out of a bullish triangle, which is nice. A lot of times these descending triangles will break down to the downside as it gets closer to the apex. Descending triangles typically bearish, but in a situation where you have price action moving up on an intraday chart, this is often perceived as a bullish triangle. So this may likely hit 150 today. I say 150 because typically 50% retracements are the levels that I look for after a major downtrend has ended. And you can see with AETI, you had a falling wedge that bottomed at 40 cents. And this is kind of the top price level, 250. And now we've had basically almost at a 50% retracement today. We're only really a couple cents away from that. So Red's watching BIOC. I think that's a good one to take a look at. Let me move my watch list down a little bit and add AETI, BIOC. We can take a look at BIOC. Got some nice volume and price action. We got about 2 minutes to the bell. I want to show you guys again. This is AETI. 5-minute trend lines being drawn. It's already kind of broken out of there. The daily Bollinger Bands are right up here. I believe this is the upper level. Yep, this is the upper band. So price has already started to shy away from that upper daily Bollinger Band. So it's possible this thing's exhausted and this move is over, which would make it a really good short, potentially. You could see this 5-minute 9 EMA really rolling over. It's a little bit delayed. You know what? Maybe I'll update this in the meantime. I'm going to scroll this up out of the way. So AETI possibly good for a 150. Again, remember those daily Bollinger Bands are not far above, very close to the 150 level. That's that $half level. I picked the upper, so Ali asked me about how did I pick the upper and lower levels. This is a 4-hour 180-day chart, and I'm looking at just the trend, right? The trend has been down. This was like the new trend after this price consolidation. So I look for major price consolidations, then some type of breakout, daily breakout, and then I look for like a new trend to form. And then I look for a reversal of that trend. And so it doesn't really matter what time frame or what type of chart you use. I like hourly and 4-hour charts to find all of that price action and movement to really figure out what the heck is going on. And essentially this broke out of a falling wedge based on all of these, pump and dump action moves, reverts back to the mean, back to the bottom of the wedge line. And then it finally broke out. So I went from the high of 253 here on AETI, and I went to the low of 40. And that's what's giving me all of my great information. So now we got the bell open. I don't have any really planned trades other than some other bigger stocks that I'm watching. But in terms of AETI, this is coming right back to retest the top of this triangle. I don't have any moving averages on this chart at all. I just have candlesticks. So I'll be showing you guys price action and patterns and Fibonacci and how we can use those to trade, because patterns are one of the most important things in trading. Candlesticks and patterns and trend lines. Those are the foundations of good trades. The moving averages are nice. They'll show you trends and breakout signals and so on and so forth. But this is falling right back into the triangle. Maybe a really good short today. We'll have to see. Hang on one sec, guys. Got a battery warning from my battery backup system, so I had to silence that. Alright, so buyers trying to come back in off the bottom of this triangle. Very interesting battle going on right here, but you can see the range that's being established. You've got 115 all the way up to 125, so there's a big 10-cent range. But, you've got a tight bid ask where you're really only a penny difference right here. So there's a lot of volume, a lot of confusion, trying to figure out if this triangle is getting bigger. You can see some of the on the 1-minute chart, it started to kind of flesh out. This happens a lot of time. You start with a smaller triangle and it ends up getting bigger and bigger as a wider range gets established, and you're really kind of looking for a choppiness trend. Now if you're shorting, you're probably liking this as a short opportunity because it's just showing weakness, but you're only going to get 10, 15, maybe 20 cents before you get some type of counterattack. So for traders that like to trade at the open, they're watching this candlestick form and looking for positions to short, but then they're watching for any type of counterattack off the bottom of this pattern. And so you're seeing it right now. Really the bigger short that's going to happen here is if the base of this triangle breaks, then you've got kind of support around 110, maybe close to $1, and then a possible reversal, V bottom, maybe a green hammer, something like that, that takes it up higher. Now again, this could just trade inside this price triangle for quite a bit until breaking out. And if you see some kind of breakout, that's where you want to take the move, and your ultimate target's going to be 150 or close to it, right? It might top off a little bit. And the next thing I look for with a lot of these small cap price action is I connect my high a day or high a pre-market, and I try to find like the next candle that kind of the bears push back on, and you can see we have this wick right here, and I look for any type of new channel that might form, right? And that's kind of what I got. So this breaks out of here, I'm going to be watching this trend line and then 150 to act as resistance. But these are scalpable moves right here, right? You're seeing some really good volume come in. I'm showing you guys the level 2 on the right on Zoom. You might not be able to see it on YouTube. Yeah, you can't see it too well on YouTube. Signet sharing his watch list with us. Volatility, future, CL. Let's see what else I get to check. There's a lot of stuff to keep your eyes on. So let me check Baidu. Baidu's getting some big buying. I know the Chinese president was speaking yesterday. I didn't listen to that, but was watching futures react to it yesterday. Typically, the Chinese stocks, Baidu being a big one, will react the next day. Again, price action, guys. Looking at this, so we have a this is actually called a megaphone pattern. Kind of looks like an inverse wedge, but it's a bearish megaphone pattern. This is likely to trade inside this. Right here you could see a very tight falling wedge. This is what the SPY at pretty much every stock looked like this yesterday, going into the close. And so after falling wedges get really, really tight and it establishes some type of pattern like this, this was kind of a new formed pattern. Now you've got a megaphone to kind of trade. And then really your next level, if you're talking about just kind of immediate short-term resistance on Baidu, is way up here. So there could be some good flow into options today on something like Baidu after seeing this alert come up on BlackBox stocks. I'll pull this in for you guys. Again, there is a trial for BlackBox stocks right now. You guys can see we're actually streaming. Let me actually turn the audio on. Did I just shut my channel off? I'm still getting used to using the live channels. There we go. Let's see if this is picking up my mic. Might be picking up my mic now. Alright, so the BlackBox guys asked me to do this, so I'm attempting to stream over their airwaves for the first time right now. So yeah, so here's the price at alert with Baidu. You can see it's still kind of oscillating. I don't see a good trade yet on it, but a lot of times you'll see really good ones like Netflix giving you an alert at 9:35, and you can see right here, this is where it might be a good area to go short on Netflix, or if it breaks above, go long. I'm kind of watching the candlestick pattern after this really long dragonfly candlestick here and then a spinning top. Looks a little bit bearish, but again, I look at my other charts to make decisions like that, and that's where I would switch to my Netflix chart. I have been trading Netflix, full disclosure. You can see all my trend lines kind of showing you what I look for entries and exits. You know, yesterday when this rising wedge failed, this was the short entry on Netflix. There was a little bit of support through here, but then it did what stocks did the rest of the day, and turned into a falling wedge. So now we're seeing a little pop above, and price action trying to get back up to that alert level at 267.88. So what I like to do is I'll mark out right where the BlackBox alert is, 267.88. I'm not going to get it exactly unless I edit my price line here. But you can see candlesticks fighting to get above this level. So if they get above this level, I already have an alert set for 272, maybe 272.75, 273, maybe 273. And I think I based this alert off the hourly channel. So we could actually see price move to this trend line, and on a 5-minute time frame I'd look for profit taking right off this trend line. But first we need to get above that BlackBox stocks alert level and really get a close above it to show momentum above. You guys know with Netflix, this thing will just grind the 9 EMA on a 5-minute chart and just move all the way up to these. These are just measured moves all set up. And again, another bearish megaphone on Netflix. Oop, I forgot to broadcast the chart on Netflix. So now I got that broadcasted on the BlackBox stocks channel as well. So, getting some reports that TVIX may be taken off. I've been charting VXX because we have a lot of options traders, and they like to take advantage of the VXX options versus buying TVIX. TVIX shares can be very expensive. There's no options on TVIX, so we have people that trade it, but a lot of people like to day trade the options. So VXX is a really good alternative to TVIX. You can see right here, I'm looking for triangles, I'm looking for patterns, I'm looking for retracements, and I see that we have this rising channel on VXX, and we've had it for quite a while, right? We've got this upper band, upper trend line here. We've got this lower channel that I've kind of extended to the right. I have not been good about cleaning up my TVIX chart. Sometimes I'll get so out of control with my trend lines I got to redraw it. Yeah, somebody just asked, Allie just asked about picking day trading options. There's a couple ways. I like to stay familiar with a group of stocks. It helps me make quicker decisions on trading options. But BlackBox Stocks also has an option scanner. And if you guys hop into their Discord when you get a chance, after you've looked at the trial, you'll get some information from their team. They're kind of like waiting and standing by and already helping a lot of our traders understand the option scanner. And so you can make a little bit quicker decisions with their option scanner. Creed also developed an option scanner that he shares with people in the group. And but for my process, I like to build my options watch list in the pre-market, and I pick all the stocks that I particularly like, and then I have my watch list right here on the right-hand side or left-hand side, and I've already got them picked out, and I base that off of at the money or slightly in the money or slightly out of the money, and I look for patterns, bullish patterns. It really matters getting the right strike. I didn't do that this morning, but if I go to VXX and we see that VXX is currently just inside of 42, and we look at 42 puts and calls, I like to put both on the watch list. These expire Friday. Not much time left on them, but for a more advanced options day trader, it's perfectly fine to trade something that's expiring this quickly. Keyword more advanced. If you're new, you should always first be paper trading them to get a handle on it. But the next step would be to go out a little bit further. 2 weeks is probably better. Month would be even better than that. So here's 42 puts. VXX looking slightly to the bullish side. So this is a call and put chart of VXX. And you can see right here we've got this kind of sloping descending triangle, right? Hourly is already, tested this area, pulled back. And we want to look at like the next kind of pattern for this. If we change to different time frames, it's kind of mess with the way that it looks, but we do have this aggressive up channel that we're bouncing off the bottom, and you see all the volume come in right at support, right? All these contracts being bought, sold, traded hands right off that support level. And you can do the same thing with Fibonacci. You can actually go to, right, so this is kind of where that trend topped out. And these contracts bottomed around 20 cents. So look at the return on that. If you got it just right, it's a really nice return. So it's possible we break this right line. My expectation would be to go close to $3 because that's a 50% retracement. That's why I have this highlighted. So this channel might take us there today. Then again, if this channel breaks down, price action, reading the price action, this channel breaks down, I would expect this to move back lower and possibly close the day lower, maybe around 90 cents or so. You know, we determine those things by looking at futures and SPY and trying to figure out what they are also doing. So I've got SPY kind of in this descending triangle, as it were. I believe this trend line I drew on the hourly chart. You know, and futures are basically in this falling wedge. It hasn't gotten tight enough yet, I think, to squeeze out. So I think we're still bearish. Again, unless we break this resistance line. Let me highlight it a different color. If we break this resistance line on the hourly, we got to deal with all this stuff basically in the 2580s. Get above 2580s, we get a good shot at 2600, and it could definitely happen rather quickly. I'm not sure I like this pattern so far, though. I mean, this falling wedge back here bounced out, retreated right back, and we're just stuck in this bad situation. But you see this happen with major resistance. Like, we had this major daily support levels that were broken, and right after that you typically will see lots of short covering, squeezing, things like that going on. It's almost to be expected. So the main pattern I'd really like to see futures break out, which would cause SPY to be a good breakout pattern right now, today, as it were, is this falling wedge. Okay, so let's go back over to our friend AETI, see how that played out. And that's how it played out. Broke the base of the triangle. A little bit of consolidation around that 33-degree fib. Looks like it's kind of bear flagging right now. Volume's very light at support. You don't see heavy volume compared to the selling volume down here. And so this is likely to bear flag a little bit further. It's possible that this is trying to maybe wedge, but you know, my wedges typically will look like this. I've already got kind of a little bit of a support area, but I would expect this more to bear flag at this point. You know, when you guys see these type of moves, it'll go like here to the possible resistance, right? This is kind of hypothetical. I have no price action to dictate it, but I wanted to show you guys what the wedge might look like. If it does hit it, then you've got something like that, and then eventually price gets too tight inside the wedge, and then it will fire out, but sometimes it'll break out to the downside. So you got to be prepared for either possibility, because nobody knows. We're taking this as it goes. Breakout to SPY on the downside. Is that what you're seeing? On SPY chart will look a little similar to futures that I just covered. So with SPY, you've got this falling wedge. Majority of price is traded inside this falling wedge. I actually think it's likely to again test this right angle, which is very similar to SPY. But you've really got, I'm trying to hit all these wicks. You've really got a falling wedge inside a falling wedge, right? So this can be good when you find two falling wedges kind of like crisscross together and you break that right wedge. Then you have a chance for SPY to hit 263. But I trust the strength of these patterns. Yeah, I think you can set it off. Turn off those alley. I think there's a way. I'm trying to click on it and see. You know what you can do if you have a Windows machine. A lot of times you can click on the volume and open up your volume mixer, and then find your Chrome browser and just turn the volume down in Chrome like that, and then anything that would make noise in Chrome is now going to be quiet. Okay, question from our member. So guys, you guys are watching this on YouTube. We're live streaming on Zoom as well, privately for our members. Excuse me. And there's no delay on Zoom. So if you guys want to join us and take advantage of that, you're going to get no delay. And we consistently stream like this every day. Today I'm kind of taking a different approach. I'm doing very educational because we're putting this YouTube out on YouTube later. This will be published on our channel for people to watch and learn from later. And I'm going to look at AMD. I don't think I've ever erased my my trend lines on my AMD chart. So let's see. Bare feet. AMD to pull back. You want some type of dip buy situation, or do you want to short it? Bare feet. You want to dip buy. Okay. So here's what I see in terms of price action and patterns. This particular falling wedge breakout caught support off that 1877 fib. It looks like it's going right back to test this trend line. This is typically a good area to place along with a tight stop, but what we would need for extra information, it helps to at least have RSI, which I've got now. I got down here, and I have the 9 EMA. So once you figure out the patterns, you're looking at that momentum indicator, which is the 9 EMA, especially on the 5-minute. If you can get any kind of doji off of this 9 EMA and looking at it, it's right at 1941, so not far to go, but it's also testing the top of this wedge. So both of these are going to act as support, and you're looking for some type of bullish triangle or pennant situation with this, and you can see the bulls are already buying off. They're already starting to buy this. So if I switch to a 1-minute chart, you guys will see a very tight ascending triangle. So it's possible this is your kind of dip buy area potentially through here, but I'd like to see the volume really pick up, and your goal would be 2025 because that's a nice quarter value and it's below this trend line. So there's also the potential for this being a bit of a rising wedge pattern. And don't get me wrong, rising wedges are reversal patterns that you want to trade the reversal side, but you can trade the inside of a rising wedge to the bullish side. And a lot of times, if the momentum's really strong, they'll squeeze out to the upside and just culminate with hitting that next resistance barrier. So it looks like it wants to climb, but it really needs to get strongly out of this. This 1-minute candle should close above this flat top on this ascending triangle to really push it. The volume looks pretty good to do it. And then, you know, I'm always taking a look at, I don't know where I don't have my VXX chart. I'm trying to scroll it back up. Let me go over to SPY. So I'm watching Trend Spider on SPY too, guys. So this does look bullish. AMD does look bullish inside here. That may continue. And I'm looking at the 5-minute of SPY. It looks fairly decent. You guys mind if I switch back real quick on Thinkorswim? to show you what I'm looking at. You know, all of these green 5-minute candles on the 9 EMA does look pretty nice. We might be printing above 5-minute print above this resistance in the pre-market could be rather nice. And now I'm looking for anything else that might keep us down. And TrendSpider will find this for you automatically. But I like to draw my trend lines too. You can see boom, boom, boom. So we're actually very close to a major breakout. Intraday, small, potential sell the rip type situation. When you see that this is that immediate resistance and you still have this support area. If this rejects really hard, this is where we'll see SPY finish at, possibly making a new low today. And if it decides to break above here, you can maybe see SPY hit 261.75, 261, close to 262 maybe. And if we look at the 9 EMA on the daily, it's way up here at 262.50. A lot of times after an oversold situation, you'll get maybe a move up close to that 9 EMA or top to that wedge. So that would maybe put us up in a situation where, actually, does that coincide? Let me delete that. I think that is my wedge. Yep. I'm just making sure I'm doing my trend lines right. Sometimes I get thrown off when I draw my ovals and trend lines on the daily and I'm looking for them to interact. But you can see right through here, this would be right about where that 9 EMA is, slightly above it. I think I said 262.50. Right? So mark out close to the 9 EMA on the daily. Find your wedge. That's your magnet for price. I don't have fibs. I could throw fibs on here too, but I've showed you guys how to do that. Let me see with AMD. That trade work out? Yeah, it looks like it's still trading inside this wedge. It might need to retest here on the 1 minute. It might need to test the bottom of this wedge through here. These candles just look like consolidation. 5 minutes a little overbought. But AMD could be a good squeeze trade today. This could get squeezed higher. But I really like SPY. I see a good potential trade here. And the only other thing that is going to help me make a decision, aha, there's my VXX chart, is this little handy chart right here, which keeps a close eye on volatility for me. And it looks like there's a bit of an option killing. I call these option killing triangles, where it trades in this like 50-75 cent range all day below a major trend line. It could spend the whole day in between 42, let's see, what's this upper level, 42.30 and 41.50, which sucks. I absolutely hate that, because then it's really hard to make a trade. I'll show you guys on the main chart. I like to trade SPY off the SPX, and it looks good. Yeah, you could use ES. You could even use futures to trade SPY. You could use a different chart and still get away with it. It's going to track it almost the same. But, so you can see right here, this 41.20 is that 50% retracement level I've been watching. Likely to pull back down here and just trade inside. Let me highlight I'd like to do this for you guys so you can really see the different patterns I'm trying to show you. But you have this big, almost symmetrical triangle. This angle's a little bit different than this one, but what makes it really hard to trade options to the long side, unless you're getting the absolute perfect entry. I mean, if you're buying inside this triangle, you're not doing too well. But if you bought up here and bought a put, you're doing okay, not perfect. But what you end up seeing is that price will just do this kind of all day, and that's terrible unless you're an option seller and you're selling short-term expiration and collecting some premium. Let's see. BVN has some, yep, from the watch list. So here are alerts that we send out to you guys. Or not send out. We might start sending them out again. Oh, that must be one of the older ones. What'd you say? Which symbol did you say? BVN. That might be one of the other day's alerts from the watch list. I'm just checking one of our tabs. Yeah, this is a great pattern. Look at that. So it looks like it's possible it's getting held out in that triangle. This is another thing where you could pull up TrendSpider too. You guys could do this with our whole watch list. This would be a really smart way to use our watch list. You basically subscribe, get our alerts, and then use TrendSpider to find all the trend lines. There's the same triangle I just drew on Thinkorswim. So a lot of people will miss this. They won't look back to that next peak and connect these trend lines. But you can see all these breakdown and breakout levels. And TrendSpider will tell you basically where to short something that's from our watch list. So, you know, we put something on. We'll show you the alert level where you can basically watch for a breakout or breakdown. But you can see right here, you got a green circle right here, right off of this intersection between two support trend lines. And then boom, jumps back up. And I think this is the upper daily Bollinger Band. So we're pushing price above the upper Bollinger Band. I bet you this is going to turn into a red circle in the next 5-10 minutes, especially because we're crisscrossing these daily resistance zones. And this would be a really good short from 17 bucks, maybe even all the way down to 16 today. So that could be a really good short today on BVN. And that's probably easy to borrow too on that one on Thinkorswim. Let's see. Where did it go? Oh, I see, because it's all the way up here. I got too much stuff on my sidebar today. I can't tell if it's easy to borrow or not. That's a good one, Creed. Did you make that one? So, yep, we recommend CMEG for no PDT rule. We got a whole blog post about that, and it's shortable on CMEG, which is good, which means it's probably shortable on interactive brokers as well. That is BVN, right? And you can see right here, this is likely to pull back. I guess it's got a little bit of support first at 1575, but on TrendSpider, it's got another support line that I didn't draw. Right, so here's that 1575 area. It's actually maybe 1589, and then you got, there's the 1575, and then maybe the last one. Actually, yeah, that's my line right there. My line's right here. So actually, TrendSpider's got a couple of additional support lines above it that would need to break down. So making it a little bit riskier of a trade, but I'm just looking at the way price is reacting right here at this trend line. And you could see right before, boom, this rolled all the way back. So this might be a little bit exhausted at this level. Big move up, likely to pull back. All right, let's get that out of the way. Guys, give me about 2 minutes. I got to take a quick break, and then I'll come back. I'm still streaming on. Today's really a busy day because I'm streaming on BlackBox stocks, YouTube, and Zoom all at once, and hopefully it all sounds good. Can somebody, Creed, can you check? I don't know if anybody's at their computer. Check the audio streaming channel on BlackBox. Just let me know how the audio sounds. I haven't gotten any feedback yet from that. That would be really cool to hear. And I'm going to leave you guys with a volatility chart. And we'll see if this is another potential short for VXX, or look at all the volume that pushed it up into this level. If we see an increase in volume at resistance, that's showing bullishness, and then we will see volatility increase, and then we'll get this megaphone pattern playing out on VXX, which will put us up here, maybe at the 45 level today. That could be a really good move. So you do hear me on BlackBox, bare feet? Let's see, I want to go to my VXX chart then. Cool. And then broadcast chart. There we go. Let's see if I can select tool. Let's see, fib fan, line. Alright, I'm going to attempt to draw a line on my streaming chart on BlackBox and see if that works. Hey, it worked. Oh, I kind of like that. Alright, I just drew my pattern. Broadcast chart. See, I don't know if it actually shares the chart that I broadcast or not with the trend lines. Yeah, BVN does look good, especially if VXX breaks out. You'll get more selling on BVN. However, if this breaks down, you actually might see continuation. So I like using VIX and volatility to kind of gauge, you know, where the market's pulse is at. And it definitely helps with options trading if you're watching those indicators. Well, I tried to draw on my streaming chart on BlackBox, but it looks like, it basically looks like this to me. I'm just going to snipe a picture real quick. So it looks like when I stream on the BlackBox site, I can draw a line on the left-hand side chart, but it doesn't look like it transfers over to the right side, to the chart that I'm streaming. It's possible our trade alert list is, I'm checking our trade alert list now. Yeah, it's not the right trade alert list. You know what happened, guys, is we're currently redoing our site. If you guys haven't noticed, it's getting lots of color changes and template changes and organizing and just making it cleaner. It's possible that the alerts got reverted to an older alert. I'm going to ask Angel to check it right now and update it. Let's see. So thank you, Razzles. Yeah, thanks, man. So, all right, guys, I'm going to leave this VXX chart. I think this is a really important chart. I'm going to put SPY down here in the left-hand corner. I think this is also an important chart. You see SPY being rejected here. VXX looks bullish. I might actually buy some calls today that are slightly, where the heck are my calls? 42 calls. These are starting to get snatched up. I might take a little bit of risk and maybe trade these up to 203. That's a good $50 move. 159 is definitely a print above 159 on these Friday expiration calls. Not for the faint of heart, not for gamblers, not for people who don't have risk management. That's not what trading's about. You need to really look at these technical levels and trade them properly. So that's what I'm going to do. But I need to see a couple things. I need to see SPY continue to move lower. And actually, I need to see VXX break this right trend line. And believe me, the market loves to fake you out at resistance. So you'll go ahead and buy a bunch of calls right here, and guess what will happen? Boom, right back down. Then you'll feel like you got a crappy entry. Then you'll sell your position. So I'm going to give this a couple more minutes. I'm watching these things. I'm going to leave these charts up. I'm just going to mute for a few minutes, and I'll be back in a couple.